Hey Cubs fans, buckle up because what I'm about to tell you is going to shake you to your core. We're sitting pretty at 57-39, third best record in all of baseball, breathing down Milwaukee's neck in the Central, and yet there's a storm brewing that could change everything we know about this team's future. 3 earth-shattering developments have emerged from the Cubs front office, and I'm telling you right now, this isn't your typical trade deadline chatter. This is about our crown jewel prospect, a desperate hunt for pitching that could make or break our playoff dreams, and a blast from the past that nobody saw coming. Picture this, our number 1 prospect, the guy we've been calling our future, might be heading out the door. Our rotation is hanging by a thread with righties we can't trust, and while we're chasing division rivals for arms, there's a former superstar prospect sitting in Los Angeles who just might be the missing piece we never knew we needed. Cubs fans, I need you to hit that like button right now because what you're about to hear is going to test every ounce of faith you have in this organization. Drop a comment below and let me know. Are you ready to mortgage the future for a championship run? And if you're not already subscribed, do it now because this trade deadline is about to get wild. The writing is on the wall at 1060 West Addison, and it's written in a language that speaks of championship windows, calculated risks, and the kind of moves that either make you a legend or haunt you forever. The first bombshell involves our most precious asset, and Cubs fans, when you hear this name, you're going to understand why Jed Hoyer might be about to make the most controversial decision of his career. The name that's been whispered in every Cubs front office meeting, the player who represents our future more than any other, is Owen Casey. That's right, Cubs fans, our number 1 prospect, ranked 42nd in all of baseball, the guy who was supposed to be Kyle Tucker's replacement if we couldn't re-sign him, is now the centerpiece of every major trade conversation happening in Chicago. MLB insider John Morosi just dropped a nuclear bomb on 670, the score that's got Cubs fans everywhere questioning everything. I wouldn't trade Owen Casey for a rental, Morosi said, and you could hear the collective exhale from Wrigleyville to Wisconsin. But then he continued, and this is where it gets interesting. But if the D-backs come to you and say, I'll give you Garland and Eugenio Suarez, or Garland and another backup, make it a bigger package. Think about what that means, Cubs fans. We're not just talking about trading away our future, we're talking about potentially getting a legitimate ace and solving our third base problem in one fell swoop. Suarez is the best third base bat available, and suddenly trading Casey doesn't seem like selling our souls to the devil. It seems like championship math. The same logic applies to Pittsburgh's Mitch Keller, a guy who's not a rental, who's got team control through 2028, and who's been absolutely dealing lately. Casey shouldn't be for a single player, Morosi emphasized. But if it's for multiple players or a controllable piece like Mitch Keller or Joe Ryan, then I'm in if I'm the Cubs. Cubs fans, this is the moment of truth. With Tucker's future uncertain and our championship window wide open, Casey has transformed from untouchable prospect to the golden ticket that could bring us everything we need. The question isn't whether we should trade him, it's whether we can afford not to. And speaking of things we can't afford, our pitching situation is about to get a whole lot more desperate. Cubs fans, if you thought the Casey situation was stressful, wait until you hear about our rotation crisis. We've got 2 solid lefties at the top with Justin Steele and Matthew Boyd, but our righties, Ben Brown, Colin Rea, and Jamison Tylan, have been about as reliable as a Chicago weather forecast in April. With Milwaukee breathing down our necks and the playoffs within reach, we desperately need pitching reinforcement. And there's one name that keeps popping up in trade discussions that might surprise you. Mitch Keller from our division rival Pittsburgh Pirates. Matt Johnson from Sportsnote is predicting that we'll make a move for Keller, and Cubs fans, this makes perfect sense. This guy was an all-star in 2023, and he's been absolutely lights out in his last 7 starts with a 2. 32 ERA, allowing just 32 hits and striking out 31 while walking only 7 in 42.2 innings. That's not just good, that's ace-level stuff. Sure, his record is .310 this season, but come on, Cubs fans, he's pitching for Pittsburgh. You put this guy in a Cubs uniform with our offense behind him, and suddenly that record looks a whole lot different. His 3.48 ERA tells the real story. This is a legitimate starter who's been stuck on a team that can't score runs. The beauty of targeting Keller isn't just his talent, it's his contract. He signed through 2028 for $77 million, and Pittsburgh's small market mentality means they probably be happy to dump that salary for the right prospect package. You know what that means? We're back to talking about Owen Casey. Cubs fans, imagine this scenario. We trade Casey and some additional pieces to Pittsburgh for Keller and maybe some bullpen help. Suddenly we've got a rotation that can match up with anybody in the playoffs, and we've addressed our biggest weakness without giving up our entire farm system. But July 31st is coming fast, and we're not the only team that's going to be calling Pittsburgh. The question is, are we willing to pay the price to get our man? And speaking of unexpected names, there's a third player who just entered the Cubs conversation that nobody saw coming. Cubs fans, just when you thought this trade deadline couldn't get any crazier, RJ Anderson from CBS Sports throws us a curveball that nobody saw coming. He's got the Chicago Cubs linked to a former superstar prospect who's been quietly putting together a comeback season in Los Angeles, Yoan Moncada. Now I know what you're thinking. Moncada? The guy who never lived up to the hype with the White Sox? But hear me out, Cubs fans, because this might be exactly the kind of low-risk, high-reward move that puts us over the top. Moncada is hitting .240 I don't need no wife for I need with 6 home runs and 19 RBIs in 29 games with the Angels, and his OPS plus of 100 means he's been exactly league average. But here's the kicker. He's been heating up lately with 4 home runs in his last 15 games and 2 in his last 7. This is the same guy who hit .3 at 6'7", 148 with 25 home runs in 2019 and finished 19th in AL MVP voting. At 30 years old, it looks like he's figured some things out, even if he'll never be the 5-tool superstar everyone expected when he was ranked as a top 10 prospect. The White Sox declined his option last offseason, but that might have been the best thing that ever happened to him. Sometimes a change of scenery is all a player needs. Why would the Cubs take a chance on Moncada? Well, if Matt Shaw starts to cool off and we need another power bat in the infield, Moncada's switch hitting ability could be exactly what we need. The cost wouldn't be high, both financially and prospect-wise, which makes it an attractive option for a team that's already considering dealing away Owen Casey. Cubs fans, this is it. This is the moment that defines our season, our future, and possibly our championship aspirations. We are sitting in first place, we've got the pieces to make a run, and the trade deadline is staring us in the face with 3 potential moves that could change everything. Are we ready to trade our top prospect for an ace? Are we willing to take a chance on a former superstar who's showing signs of his old self? Are we prepared to make the kind of bold moves that championship teams make? Hit that like button if you trust Jed Hoyer to make the right call. Drop a comment below and tell me which move you want to see happen first. And if you're not subscribed, do it now because this trade deadline is going to be one for the ages. Cubs fans, we've waited 108 years for one championship. And now we're staring at a window that might not stay open forever. The decisions made in the next few weeks will define this era of Cubs baseball. Are you ready for the ride? What do you think, Cubs fans? Is this the year we go all in? Or are we setting ourselves up for another heartbreak? The clock is ticking, and July 31st is coming fast.